Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rage, and we are back today to talk about the return of Quasar and his respective Trials event. This is expected now to be a recurring event every few weeks or so, probably once a month. So that way, folks like yourself, if you haven't maximized on the yellow stars or his red stars, well, that is going to be available now moving forward into this recurring thing. So they have updated the respective missions of what's required now going forward, and they've also even actually changed up the structure compared to how this was originally released. So we'll talk about real quickly about the requirements and how we can best prepare, especially if you're like myself, you may not have all of these characters at 7 yellow stars. Well, there should be some workarounds, but again, we won't really know until the event goes live, and then we'll see what that predictor of scores, when you go through all the different selectors of the different packs or scourges, it gives you an updated score. That's what we need information on to determine how far and deep we can actually go in this event, especially if you don't have 7 yellow stars on all your characters required teams. So first and foremost, missions 3, missions 4 requires Vigilante or Thunderbolts. Then we have Accursed or Fantastic 4 in missions 5 and 6. 7 and 8 are Vigilante and Thunderbolts, again, very similar to 3 and 4. And then last but not least, we have the Accursed team or Fantastic 4 being required for the last section. So rinse and repeat, you really only need 2 of these 4 shown teams here to actually get through the entirety of the event. But where it gets obviously a little interesting is if you don't have those characters as said yellow stars, then does it really make sense to bring some of them into this game mode? So what we can best maximize. So obviously it goes without question, guys. The 2 most important teams that you should be building are the Vigilante and Fantastic 4. Reason being is because Vigilante, out of this mix, they are the best raid team, the most versatile, the most powerful that you can utilize in other game modes. So definitely prioritize that. They're also thankfully farmable, so you can hopefully get shards of them in the meantime through what's available right now in Marvel Strike Force. But at the same time as well, Fantastic 4, they're not fully farmable just yet, but they are finally joining the other different orbs that you can take advantage of, Ultimus credits and so forth. So they are coming soon to the game to be farmable. If you guys are watching this earlier on, they're not available at this time, but later on they are expected to be farmable, so that's gonna make it easier. So would I recommend building then the Accursed team if you don't have Fantastic 4? Absolutely not. Most of my Accursed team members are only level 1, so I don't want to bring them up just for this event. I also want to point out that my Fantastic 4 team, only one of them is at sorry, let me think about this actually. I don't think any of them are at 7 yellow stars. I think both my Franklin and my Sue are at 6 stars, and then I have Mr. Fantastic at 5 stars. So I'm really not in a good position right now to do well in this event. But we'll talk about some of the shortcuts as well. You'll see on screen here, there's 2 boxes. I believe that in the green box, this is where players are going to be able to unlock Quasar going through the majority of these nodes in that lower difficulty. That's what my expectation is going to be. I don't think you're going to be able to unlock Quasar at difficulty 2. I mean, if you can, that would be a huge free-to-play nod, but I just can't see that. They have to increase some difficulty here to create at least some challenging content, and it's not even that challenging when you're in that difficulty 3 to 6 range anyways. I do want to also point out, I think the yellow box I have there, anywhere from difficulties 8 to 10, and depending on if you have to do all the missions, that's really how you're going to maximize the entirety of the milestone events. Maybe only difficulty 9 or 10 actually, now that I'm looking at this again, but either way, you do need your characters at 6 yellow stars to even participate in 8 and 9. And as I said earlier, even my Mr. Fantastic, he's gear tier 20, but I only have him at 5 yellow stars, which means the highest difficulty I can go is difficulty 7. So this is where we can start being a little creative with strategy here, because this is where they have some of these different characters and teams that you can bring in. And hey, there's no rule that says that those characters have to survive until the very end. So this is what my game plan is going to be. First and foremost, we have to see what the scoring is going to be when we go through those modules and select which scourges and packs we want to activate. Chances are I probably have to use most of them because I'll only be able to do some of the lower difficulties to maximize the rewards, right? So the highest would be difficulty 7 if I plan on bringing Mr. Fantastic. If I don't plan on bringing Mr. Fantastic, well, we have some options, right? Because remember, guys, characters like Mordo, Juggernaut, The Thing, Human Torch, those 4 characters I have not built up, but they can technically come into the node with me, so that way the rest of my other big hitters can actually carry. For example, if you don't have all of Vigilante built up for missions 3 and 4, but you have them at decent yellow stars, well, maybe you can throw in a random Thunderbolt character. You know, you don't need the full team to do the full node. They can die and so forth, and you can bring them along if you're actually overpowered enough. For example, if I'm only doing difficulty 7 or 8, my gear tier 20, Franklin Richards and Sue Storm, they're absolutely going to tear those nodes apart. So that's where the strategy comes in, right? I will do a follow-up video on this because I want to showcase for you guys how far I can get, because my goal ultimately is going to be seeing if I can maximize on all the rewards. I also want to point this out too, guys. As I was doing the review of the teams that we can utilize, Azazel has amazing value right now, because although you may not have him at high yellow stars, I don't right now. I think he's only 5 stars again for me. But you probably would have built up Azazel too, and remember, he counts as an accursed team member, being that kind of pivot piece when they release Hellfire Club later on. So Azazel can actually be used on top of the accursed in the accursed section here for missions 5 and 6, as well as 9 and 10. So there's a little bit of flexibility, and like I said, I think characters like Mordo, Human Torch, Thing, Juggernaut, we can use them sparingly depending on how we want to pivot around those star requirements. So I think, saying that out loud now and obviously strategizing here, before, if I was just going straight by the yellow star requirements, the highest difficulty I'd be able to proceed with is difficulty 7. However, if I'm strategic about which characters I bring in and intentionally sacrifice them, the sacks, I could probably do difficulty 8 or difficulty 9, and that's what I need. If I can do difficulty 8 or 9 and stay in that yellow box range, I can likely maximize on the rewards here. So I do want to bring this to your attention as well. This is kind of what's available right now in terms of how to actually unlock Quasar. You can unlock a Quasar at 272k points, which isn't much. Like I said, I think it's going to be in that difficulty 3, difficulty 4 range, depending on how many packs or scourges you activate. And then to achieve all of the milestone points and rewards, it's at 2 million points. 2,001,000 points. And then that gives you the 7 yellow of Quasar. And what I really like is that they do give you 25 pieces of each mini unique for Mystic Gear. So great for Age of X progression. Great for if you're working on those tunes for Professor Xavier. So that's my game plan, guys. I'm going to see if I can spin this and try to push as high as I can. Worst case, you could always end up in the second highest milestone, which is 1.4 million points. I feel like that's probably more realistic for myself, you know, especially if I'm capped at that 5 or 6 yellow star mark. But that's my game plan, guys. We can be strategic about this in terms of which characters to throw in. You don't necessarily need the full teams, or nor would I recommend building the full teams, because even right now, I'm not building the Thing or the Human Torch. They're not part of the arena meta for me, and that for me is just min-maxing how I can save as a free-to-play player. But again, if you want the easiest way to go through this, it probably makes more sense to build the full teams, right? Vigilante, most of us should have fully built, and as well as Thunderbolts. Those two are solid, but it's working around those accursed and fantastic 4 nodes where we have to get a little bit creative in terms of third crafting, guys. So do let me know down in the comments below. Are you guys prepared? What are you gunning for? Have you unlocked Quasar? How many stars are outstanding for yourself? Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.